I think that was the biggest hint yet.
Geordie Journo's back at the Newcastle United Media Centre for an Eddie Howe pre-Christmas press conference.
Christmas Eve press conference.
Yes, it was meant to be on Christmas Eve, which would have made things very difficult for us logistically, because I don't know about you, I was meant to be off, so this would have been a tricky video to do. So a Geordie Journo's boost provided by the Newcastle United Media team and Eddie Howe. Press conference U-turn, trying to get all the keywords in there. So yeah, inside Eddie Howe's reorganised Christmas Eve press conference. Where do you want to start, Jordan Cook?
Where should we start? Where do you want to start?
We always start with injuries, don't we?
There was quite a bit on injuries, Steve. Even though Newcastle's injury list isn't the biggest, there was.
I'm not expecting any major injury boosts against Aston Villa. Joe Linton will be the only one, I'd imagine. Eddie Howe said we hope to see Joe Linton back, obviously back from suspension anyway. Big, well, that down that side of his face, a big scar would expect to see as well, unfortunately. For the Brazilian, big injury against Brentford and then withdrawn, taken to hospital, stitched up, battered and bruised, as Eddie Howe put it, but back in the team against Aston Villa. Let's hope.
Would you put him straight back in?
I probably would. Joe Willock also took a knock to the head against Ipswich, which Eddie Howe recognised, but said Joe Willock is fine. No concussion. Well, you never know these days. A knock to the head, and then it's like protocol. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Player safety paramount. So yeah, no new injury news said by Eddie Howe. You never know. There's still a few days to go.
Yeah.
This is an early press conference, really, considering.
Yeah, it's like a Friday for a Monday game, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a game Thursday? It's always this time of year, Christmas time. I never know what day it is.
The match is on Thursday and we're speaking on Monday, so it's a big
I was going to say,
gap,
what day is it today? It's Monday.
It's next week where you lose all concept of time, isn't it? So in terms of injuries as well, Sven Botman, that's who I asked about.
Yeah.
He played a practice game over the weekend on Saturday. He played 60 minutes here last Monday, so he is back, building up his match sharpness. I went, is he back in the team on Boxing Day? And Eddie Howe's reply, he initially said, yeah, but I think that was just a more voiced sort of,
he does
I acknowledge the question rather than, yes, he's back in the team. So it's, we'll wait and see. We'll make a call. Sven Botman's looking good. Will he come straight back into the team? Absolutely not.
No.
Dan Burn is doing well.
Brick wall Dan Burn of late, in my opinion. I think he's been brilliant.
It's going to be hard for Sven Botman to get back in, but Eddie Howe did recognise Newcastle's team needs players of Sven Botman's quality in it.
I think Sven Botman starts against Bromley. I think that'll be his reintroduction back in the team. I think that cup game will be an opportunity for a lot of the fringe players, if you like, depending on how many remain, which will come on to that maybe in the next couple of minutes. So I know what I mean by that, but I mean, Dan Burn, you can't really fault him this season. I think outside of Lewis Hall, he's probably been one of Newcastle's most consistent performers in the main. I think he's had lapses of concentration. I think Wolves away was a bit of a difficult one for him, and there's been a few other times as well, but in the main has been very, very good. So I mean, just take sort of Lewis Miley's reintroduction, for example, maybe this is probably lesser form because Sven Botman is a star player, whereas Lewis Miley's still developing. But you look at the competition in midfield, Lewis Miley hasn't been able to get the game time you would have wanted to ease him back into action in terms of that match sharpness and match fitness, and he's ended up playing for under 21. So I think they'll be careful with Sven, but at least you've got that Bromley game, I think, to get some good minutes in his legs. By the sounds of it, he might be ready to play full 90 maybe, because it was, as you say, it was an hour here, and then not sure the specific minutes on Saturday, but I think he's got a couple of other behind closed doors, maybe does, unless, depending on that, obviously the Aston Villa situation on Boxing Day, but he's had lots of minutes, been training for a lot of weeks as well, so I do think he might be in a position to get through the 90 minutes if he does come in against Bromley, which that would be the game I would expect.
It's no disrespect to the mighty Bromley, but I'd say the disparity between playing Chelsea under 21s to Bromley is probably less of a gap than Bromley to playing Premier League football, if you know what I mean, playing a newly promoted League 2 side, which is what Bromley are. So I think that's a good date for Sven Botman to come back. We'll probably see him in the matchday squad before then, hopefully on Boxing Day. But in that Bromley game, who do you think will be starting in goal? Because Nick Pope, again, Eddie Howe spoke about his injury situation, no return date for him. It's a bit of uncertainty surrounding him. Even more uncertainty surrounding Martin Dubravka, who we've touched on in our previous 2 videos, has come into the side, done really well despite having, I worked it out, 6 saves to make in 3 games. 2 clean sheets. Should have probably been 3 clean sheets if we're being honest. But we praised the calmness he brings, and Eddie Howe's praised it as well. Calmness and composure being 2 key words he said in back-to-back press conferences, which are not necessarily words you associate with Nick Pope with the ball at his feet. So I think that's really helped. You said he's been like Newcastle's third centre-back when they've been in possession, and I think that just helps Newcastle in those games against the likes of Ipswich, Leicester, the games they're expected to win. Against the likes of the upcoming games, though, when you've got Aston Villa, Manchester United, Spurs, Arsenal, different sort of tests.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I give Dubravka credit. I think we saw on Saturday. I don't think he's the answer to Newcastle's goalkeeping or long-term goalkeeping position, but I think he showed what a ball. I wouldn't describe him as a ball-playing goalkeeper, but it shows what a goalkeeper can do when he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. You can see what it actually does for your back line and actually getting the ball out quick, because it's been a couple of times when Dubravka's been able to ping it out to, say, Lewis on the left-hand side and miss a man, whereas Nick Pope's very much it's
either a short pass or it's out for a throw.
Yeah, it is. Or he tries. Yeah, or it tries a long throw, which I think his long throws are really, really good. But
that's his strength. Yeah. That's what he needs to do.
But in terms of distributing with it with his feet, I think he's looked a bag of nerves for a while now, and I think everyone feels it. We feel it in the stadium. If we're feeling it, the players probably feel it as well. But that's no knock on Nick Pope. Of course, he's a top goalkeeper, a great shot stopper. But if you could sort of combine the two, sort of. I'm saying sort of, but you would have
give Nick Pope Martin Dubravka's legs.
Maybe, yeah.
That would solve all your problems because he wouldn't have a knee injury anymore. We're getting silly.
Here we are, yeah. Where we're going with Dubravka, yeah, his future.
Yeah, because reports from Saudi Arabia, deal is as good as done, and based on what you're hearing, Martin Dubravka, I would expect to leave the football club. Yeah. But it's a matter of timing, because Eddie Howe said, we have not sanctioned that deal.
Yeah.
And we will not, as long as Martin Dubravka is currently playing. Kept using the word currently, though, suggesting once that situation changes, the transfer situation also changes.
I think that was the biggest hint yet of Martin Dubravka's future. Where I think there's a real possibility he will go. But as you say, it is based on how Nick Pope recovers and what Newcastle United's goalkeeping situation looks like at the end of January, because Eddie Howe just said in there as well about Nick Pope, there's actually no definitive return date, which he mentioned. So, because if you have Nick Pope back in mid-January, then you can probably see the value in letting Martin Dubravka go. But at the moment, he's in the team and performing quite well, so you won't want to lose him. But I still think it comes down to a financial decision. You're not going to make loads of money off Martin Dubravka this month, but I still think you've got to look at it as a small PSR boost, if you like, where how much can you get from in Newcastle's situation is they've got a lot of goalkeepers.
I mean, what's Odysseus Vlachodimos thinking when you're hanging on to what will be a 36-year-old Martin Dubravka next month with 6 months left on his contract just because Nick Pope's injured, when he's got vast experience, played for Benfica, played in the Champions League. It's cost Newcastle £20 million, albeit a PSR sort of gymnastics there. What's he thinking? He's a Greek international. I can't get a game against Bromley. I can't get a game against Wolves or Bournemouth in the Premier League, which is when Nick Pope would.
If they're really keen to keep Martin Dubravka because they feel like they don't have sufficient backup, then I fear the worst for Odysseus Vlachodimos. Because as I say, he's a Greek international. Use him. I think you've got to.
Again, the glimpses we've seen of him, good with the ball at his feet as well.
This could age terribly because Martin Dubravka could go and Vlachodimos could come and he could be a bomb scare, as the phrase we could use. And look, Eddie Howe sees more behind the scenes than what we do, and maybe they're looking at Odysseus Vlachodimos and going, if we have to rely on him for a long-term period, we might be in a bit of trouble, and it might cost us. So it's always worth taking into account what Eddie Howe is seeing every day. But from the outside looking in, if you've got five goalkeepers, you can in theory afford to lose one.
Yeah. He was asked, would you bring in a keeper if you lost to Bravka as well, which he didn't go into.
But he said it's questions we have to answer.
Yeah.
So clearly, if they were to lose Martin to Bravka, Eddie Howe in his own mind would probably like to sign a
We
replacement.
need 5 goalkeepers. Oof.
But that's, I mean, like,
That shows-
what's the point of having all these goalkeepers if you don't think they're good enough? If you don't think they're good enough, they shouldn't be contracted to the football club.
Yeah,
and
well-
I know that Vlachodimos' situation was probably forced upon them a little bit.
That's the thing. What's happened clearly, and we've spoke about this behind the scenes. John Ruddy was always going to sign for Newcastle as that training ground.
He was a Loris Karius
Mark
replacement.
Gillespie, a similar
As the
similar
training
ilk.
ground man.
Yeah, yeah.
And the warm-up man before
And then
the game.
Vlachodimos was if you don't sign this man,
You get
you're
a 10
probably
points
getting
deduction.
A 10-point. Well,
Yeah.
you're getting a points deduction in the Premier League. It has to work out with that Elliot Anderson deal, although not technically linked. They happened the same day. It all happened as part of PSR gymnastics, as I've just put it. So yeah, Newcastle have been thrust into that situation, but on paper, Odysseas Vlachodimos should be capable of coming back into the team and playing minutes in the Premier League. But whether that happens or not, it's just a silly situation Newcastle are in, and the goalkeeper situation I think has been silly for a few seasons now. You had Loris Karius sort of never playing really, and then around the time of the Carabao Cup, it's happening again. You've got a bit of uncertainty in the goalkeeping department, and is history going to repeat itself?
Might do, yeah. Third choice Odysseas Vlachodimos in the Carabao Cup. Not go as far as final, but
Semi-final?
maybe semi-final. Decide our second leg at St James's Park. So yeah, you've got all these things to weigh up. Maybe they're thinking of that situation now. They were left with Loris Karius and
Scared, battle scars. Not that Loris Karius came into the side and
no, but it wasn't
played
ideal
poorly.
preparation when
No.
you've got your. I mean, how many teams have went into a cup final with a third choice goalkeeper?
Yeah, exactly,
And
yeah.
Newcastle at the minute could look like they could do it twice.
and it came about over a Martin Dubravka transfer decision as well.
Yeah, so you're right. The goalkeeping, it's been a bit of a fiasco over the last couple of seasons, to say the least. But yeah, I think based on what Eddie Howe has said, and based on obviously reports in Saudi Arabia, there is a real possibility Martin Dubravka could go, not right now, but towards the end of the transfer window if Nick Pope returns when he should, which we don't know when that is, but you'd suspect January at some point he would be back. Injections in his knee, I don't know if we mentioned that, did we?
No.
Yeah.
Millcraft's had surgery as well.
Emil Kraft, there's you. Because he's
That
back.
completes the injury round.
He's back on the grass.
Not back in contact
But yeah,
yet.
it's 'cause-
Full contact will test that collarbone,
Yeah.
so it would be good to see him back. He's also asked about Kieran Trippier as well, and you asked about Tino Livramento and how he sort of progressed, because 12 months ago, or 11 months ago, Kieran Trippier was subject to intense transfer interest from Bayern Munich. Newcastle had a chance to recoup their money on Kieran Trippier, and they turned that down.
Yeah.
And Kieran Trippier has had injury last season, but barely had a sniff really since then. So he probably maybe slightly regrets not taking that chance. Well, not that it was in his hands really too much, but Newcastle United, that situation's completely changed. And then you're looking next month, Kieran Trippier could be one of those players you look to sell.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think you think about PSR, and I actually think it's 18 months left on his contract rather than 6 months. So yeah.
What is being officially announced by Newcastle would imply Kieran Trippier's out in the summer, but he is out of contract the season after.
And again, it's hindsight's a wonderful thing, I suppose, because he asked me 12 months ago, and you're talking about Kieran Trippier going to Bayern Munich. I said absolutely under no circumstances sell him. But this is ruthless decisions that Newcastle have got to make behind the scenes. And when you talk about holding on to players for too long, Kieran Trippier, with the benefit, as I say, with hindsight, is probably one of those where they have held on for too long.
I still think he's got real qualities.
No, he does.
Eddie Howe said he's still not quite fully fit because of the lack of football.
No, I'm not doubting his quality at all. He's a quality footballer, and when he's fully fit, he is the best right back of the football club. There's still no doubt about that.
People see that as a controversial statement, but absolutely is not. Kieran
That's
Trippier,
no knock.
technically, is very, very good. One of the best at the club.
Yeah.
It's just from a physical standpoint, and then you've got Tino Livramento, who from a physical standpoint is very good. It's just there's a disparity there. But technically, Kieran Trippier wipes the floor with quite a lot of players.
He's experienced. Kieran Trippier has played in Champions League finals. He's played in World Cups. He's played in European Championships. I mean, people might find it controversial, but I don't see how that is controversial in any kind of way. That's no knock on Tino Livramento. Tino Livramento was only 22 years old. I think when Kieran Trippier was 22 years old, he may have been at Burnley.
Yeah, he's probably playing in the Championship.
So I'm not saying that Tino Livramento will not one day develop into a very, very good right back. But at this stage, when Kieran Trippier is on his game, which I do think he's not as good as he probably was 12 months ago because of all the injuries, his body's probably slowed down a little bit and he's struggling to recover from that. But if he's on the top of his game, he's still one of the best. He's the best right back at the club, and he's probably still one of the best right backs in the Premier League, despite his age. But I think that's the problem now with Trippier is his age, and he's probably never going to reach the sort of levels that he was at previously. But that's just getting older.
No,
sadly, we get older. We're not as I'm not as good at the. I don't know. I'm not as good as I used to be when I was a junior. These things happen. It's just life. It's just life.
Yeah, and I think you have to invest in the future in terms of time on the pitch as well. If you're choosing Kieran Trippier over Tino Livramento time and time again, Kieran Trippier has not got a long-term future at Newcastle United. Everyone knows that. Tino Livramento could well do if he develops into the footballer Newcastle want him to be. And in order to do that, for a player who has been out so long through injury himself at a young age, he will have to play minutes, and he's doing that this season. I don't think he's quite hit the heights, as Liam touched upon, that he would have wanted this season. But what did Eddie Howe say to you? Because you asked about Tino Livramento, because this is his first real proper run this season of consistent matches in the side. He's very rarely dropping out. He's made that right back position his own. It's just there's still some shortcomings to his game which he's capable of learning. It's just that end product and sort of interchange in passing, things like that.
Well, he said after the Ipswich game he was really pleased with Tino Livramento's technical output, which I still think probably an area of game that he really lacks in terms of that quality in the final third. Physically, I don't think you can argue with Livramento. He is a proper athlete.
Yeah.
A fantastic ability to drive forward with the ball, really, really quick. I just think it's a technical side that needs improving. Hopefully that comes. I think he's in the team at the moment because Eddie Howe spoke about partnerships and the partnership in the Champions League season when they had Sean Longstaff down that right hand side, Almiron, Trippier. It's trying to find a new partnership because Eddie Howe feels like they lost that, and it took time to fix. And Livramento came into that equation, if you like, and is now linking up with Bruno down that side, and of course Jacob Murphy, who's a player banging form as well. So look, it goes with the team. I think if you ask me about players over the last sort of 3 or 4 games, I'd probably say out of all of them, Livramento was probably one of the ones I would put in sort of the bottom performers, if you like. He's just been steady. He's just not stood out. Is all I'd say. But it also, the way that pitch adds to the balance of the team, and he's brought balance down that right hand side. Albeit I think he probably still lacks a little bit more in quality in the final.
He's been helped out by Jacob Murphy defensively as well. Jacob Murphy, he's the man of the moment.
He's Newcastle United's right forward signing, because again, I think Eddie Howe reinforces there. It does not sound like Newcastle are going to. And I had a comment the other day saying, I hang off every word Eddie Howe says. That's not true. I'm saying this because I believe it as well, and this is my understanding. I do not think Newcastle will sign a player in January unless there is some movement going out. I've heard that from Eddie Howe several times, and you hear it around the football club. I expect January to be I expect it to be quiet unless there is change of some sort, because these things can change. I'm not going to sit here and completely rule out, but if you say to me now and Newcastle are going to sign a player in January, I'll say no.
Yeah, just a disclaimer to our videos. We regurgitate what Eddie Howe said, but also put what we think Eddie Howe means. If you go back to any of our videos, or maybe the early ones where we just went, Eddie Howe said this. We've moved on since then. We're better.
We cover the football club full time. We don't just hang off what one person's telling. We do.
Eddie Howe is not our only source.
Yes. Eddie Howe is the official source.
He is. He was my official source for Martin Dubravka transfer updates over on the Shields Gazette this morning.
Yes.
Check that out. Check out Newcastle World. We'll be providing updates over the festive period and throughout the transfer window as well.
Yeah.
Very busy transfer window, Jordan.
Yeah, possibly if the Martin Dubravka goes the back end of the transfer window. But honestly, I think it's going to be a quiet one. But hopefully that changes, because I would like to see them refresh the squad. Eddie Howe was asked about that. As I say, I think he sort of batted it away, to be honest, about refreshing the squad. So what does that mean? What does that look like? For me, he just seems like a man that's not expecting anyone to come through the door in January. You
made a good point off camera, off press conference even, where Newcastle are almost in a catch-22 situation in January, because realistically, to keep the best players, the Alexander Isaks of the world, who was spoken about in the press conference, you basically need to be playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
5th place is achievable this season, the 2 points off 5th place. That could quite easily be Champions League football for Newcastle United. But Newcastle aren't quite there yet. You never know, it's no guarantee at all. So do you go out and spend a little bit in January just to strengthen that squad and take it up a level to get a realistic chance of 5th place or even higher, potentially qualify for the Champions League so you can keep hold of your key players? Or do you roll the dice and then in the summer, if you haven't qualified for the Champions League, you're in a
you're losing top players.
Risky situation?
Yeah, it's a decision for Eddie Howe to weigh up, but as I say, I don't think financially the club can do much. There's been suggestions that if they weren't to strengthen this month, they would be in a stronger position.
That's what
in the
Eddie
summer.
Howe said, didn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, he's always said that. It's because again, a lot of people have said, well, you know, there was 50, 60 minutes to go and spend on Marquee in the summer. Well, why doesn't that transfer to January? Well, it's actually about the long-term vision, and if you save that, then you're actually in a stronger position going into summer, where realistically that's a chance to build a squad. January is a notoriously difficult window, as I've said several times. I can't remember Newcastle having too many transformative January transfer windows, bar the one had under Eddie Howe. Since then, it's been very quiet. They've signed, is it Anthony Gordon they've signed in January? Outside of that,
Harrison Ashby.
I thought
Alfie Harrison,
yeah,
the
yes.
Harrison boys.
But
They made more signings with Harrison in the
They have.
name than
yeah.
actual sign.
But of course, it's one of them where you go three transfer windows out of major signing. There's not many. You wouldn't expect the club to do that when they got taken over by the richest owners in the world, or the richest sovereign wealth in the world. You wouldn't have expected that, but that's just a reality of the situation they find themselves in with the catastrophe that is PSR rules.
Good one. Aston Villa on Boxing Day at St James's Park. Big game, of course. Always good games between Villa, one way or the other. One team tends to wipe the other one away.
Yeah.
And last year Newcastle did that. What type of game are you expecting? What type of lineup are you expecting from Newcastle? Bearing in mind there's still a few days. Newcastle are training on Christmas Day. Eddie Howe was asked about his Christmas Day, gave nothing away.
No, he said there's things I can't tell you. He does on his Christmas Day.
What's he up to on
Yeah,
his
I know.
Christmas
I know.
Day?
It must be a wild one, the Eddie Howe's household. Eddie Howe household. But you know, he wants to see his kids have a good Christmas, and then I think on Christmas Day they're training for the morning, I think, and then they go and enjoy.
That's typical, by the way.
Yeah, but it's nice. Newcastle always seem to be at home on Boxing Day. I say this actually, they were at Leicester a couple of years ago, but this is the second Boxing Day in a row they've been.
It was a disastrous Boxing Day last year. Nottingham Forest.
Oh, it was, yeah. I mean, that come after Luton as well, didn't it? It was back-to-back defeats, wasn't it? I think. I mean, I probably got the West Ham game. I was confident, but I feel like there's a different momentum about them this time, and Aston Villa will be.
It's a proper test.
It is a proper test, and then we talk about corners turned. I think if they get a result against Aston Villa, I think you're probably looking to see that they have turned a corner. But we shall wait and see. Yeah. I think we'll get something against Villa, but my confidence, as I say, I was confident against West Ham and pulling that performance, but it does feel a little bit different. That's all I would say. Don't know why. It just does. I probably with it because they've been free flowing of late with the goals.
I think
not conceding goals, where the previous run when they got 3 games in a row, it was very sort of low scoring, tight games against Arsenal and Chelsea. Obviously, Forest was tight in the first half, but they managed to sort of blow them away for a 20-minute period in the second half. But this week, and I know the opposition will be taken into account, but they've literally waltzed through a week against Ipswich. I'm trying to go for the week now.
Brentford,
yeah. And who else is it?
Leicester,
yeah. So flying colours. I think they can take a lot of momentum from that, and hopefully they can be a bit more free flowing against Villa, because they do get good results against at St James's Park. I mean, the high line. Yeah, they exploited that last year. Villa still play a high line, and it was the opening day of the season, but they blew them away with the substitutions as well.
Blew them away at Villa Park as well.
Yeah, they did. Another high line situation
until the last 20 minutes, where
it could have got a bit hairy. Yeah, they won 3-1, but
Ollie Watkins had a goal disallowed. If that goal goes in, I don't think Newcastle win that game personally. But yeah, Newcastle seem to have had Villa's number for the past. Yeah,
it's a big game feel as well, isn't it, against Villa? Like it's two clubs who are trying to break the top 6
who have disrupted
they have.
the top four in the past.
And I think that's
two
I think
seasons.
that's great to see.
Yeah.
I respect Villa for doing what Newcastle went and done last season, and to be fair, they've actually up there again. So fair play to them. And it'll be two good teams going up against each other.
Chance to leapfrog them as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And in terms of changes to the side, you wouldn't probably do an awful lot after a 4-0 win. But obviously Joe Linton comes back into
that's the only
contention.
change, isn't it?
Is that the only change you're making?
Yeah, I think so.
You can't drop Jacob Murphy.
No, I'll play Vacademos. Just getting silly. No, it's unchanged. Sorry, not one change.
One
Jordan.
change. Yeah. So that's how we'll go. And of course, we'll be back on Boxing Day at St James's Park to analyse and talk through that game. In the meantime, have a very Merry Christmas from the Geordie Journals.
Yep.
Have a Merry Christmas, Jordan.
You
This will
too,
be the
Doc.
last time I see you before Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And
Emotional. Sad times.
And of course, remember our sponsors. We've got Mitigate. Mitigate transforms workplace mental health, mitigating legal risks, reducing absenteeism and boosting productivity, delivering up to £9 ROI per £1 invested. Book your free demo today. And of course, Jordan, Four Rivers Financial Planning are long-term sponsors for all your holistic financial and pension needs.
Yep.
Future-proof yourself by checking out Four Rivers Financial Planning. And of course, if you like the Geordie Journos, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell for all your Geordie Journos Christmas content. Christmas is on me mind. And from us to you, have a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting the channel so brilliantly over 2024 and 2023 for that. And we'll see you on Boxing Day. Cheers.
Merry Christmas.